Today we're making my carnivore cupcakes, and I'm so excited to share these with you. They're soft, structured, and perfect for a generous buttercream swirl, all made with simple animal-based ingredients. If you've been looking for a carnivore-friendly cupcake that actually feels like a real cupcake, I think you're going to love this one. Let's get everything ready and start baking together. For the cupcake ingredients, we'll be using 8 large room temperature eggs, 4 tablespoons of brown butter or tallow, 7 tablespoons of egg white protein powder, half a cup of heavy cream, 2.5 tablespoons of collagen powder, half a teaspoon of unrefined sea salt, and for flex carnivores, we can add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 3 tablespoons of raw honey or another sweetener of your choice. Again, these additions are for flex carnivores. For the buttercream frosting, we'll be using 2 large egg yolks, 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of softened salted butter. If you don't have salted butter, you can add salt, 1 teaspoon of gelatin powder, half a cup of cold heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of collagen powder, and optionally for flex carnivores, we can add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 3 tablespoons of raw honey or another sweetener of your choice. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. While that's heating up, let's gently brown the butter. Just let it cook until it develops that light golden color and nutty aroma. Once it's ready, pour in the heavy cream and stir until everything is smooth and combined. Then remove it from the heat and let it sit for a minute or two. We want it just warm, not hot, before adding it to the egg mixture. And now we're going to separate the eggs. This recipe relies on whipped egg whites for lift, so room temperature eggs will give you the best volume. I always like to lay out everything before I begin. It makes the whole process feel calmer and more enjoyable. Do you like prepping everything first, or do you measure as you go? To save a little time, I'm going to use my stand mixer to whip the egg whites while we work on the rest of the batter. Go ahead and pour the egg whites into a clean, completely dry mixing bowl, and we're going to whip these to soft peaks. Now in a large mixing bowl, whisk together the egg yolks, egg white protein powder, collagen powder, salt, and the optional honey and vanilla. Take a moment to make sure everything is evenly combined and smooth before moving on. This mixture will look a little thick at first, and that's completely normal. Once we add the warm cream and butter, it will loosen up and come together beautifully. You just want a smooth, cohesive batter before we fold in the egg whites. Gradually pour the warm cream and butter mixture into the yolk base while whisking continuously. Keep stirring until everything is fully incorporated and the batter looks smooth and well blended. Now let the egg yolk mixture rest for 2 minutes to allow the egg white protein powder to hydrate. Then gently fold the whipped egg whites into the batter in 2 additions, using a light hand so you don't deflate all of that beautiful air we just created. As I'm folding this together, I have to tell you, it took me a few rounds to really get this texture right. Flourless baking behaves differently, and at first I was trying to make it act like traditional cupcakes. But once I stopped chasing perfection and focused on texture and structure instead, everything changed. And that's when this version finally came together. So if you're new to carnivore baking, just know it might feel a little different at first, but that's part of the process and it really is worth it. For baking, I'm going to show you 2 different pan options. The first is a ceramic coated muffin tin, and the second is a platinum cured silicone mold. If you're using ceramic, I recommend placing muffin cups inside each well to help support the base of the cupcakes. I prefer unbleached liners as they're a cleaner option and tend to release more easily. Traditional bleached paper liners not only stick more, but they can also tear and leave half of the cupcake behind, which is frustrating and wasteful. So for today, we'll go with the unbleached cups for the ceramic pan, and I'll show you how the silicone option compares as well. Here I have a platinum cured silicone muffin mold. Platinum silicone is considered a higher quality option compared to lower grade silicone, which can sometimes break down over time and release unwanted chemicals when exposed to heat. It's more stable, more durable, and generally performs better for baking. If you're choosing silicone, you will need to coat the wells with some type of fat like beef tallow or baking grease. For this next step, I'll be using a natural boar bristle pastry brush to lightly coat the platinum silicone mold with baking grease. A thin, even layer is all you need to help the cupcakes release cleanly once they're baked. Now we'll go ahead and fill each mold. How much lift you still have in the batter after folding the whipped egg whites in will determine how many cupcakes you can get from this batch. Depending on the volume, this recipe can yield anywhere from 12 to 18 cupcakes. Try to fill each well at least 3/4 full to give them the proper rise. If you notice the batter looking especially airy, you may get closer to the higher end of that range. Just divide it as best as you can evenly so that they bake at the same rate. And now I'll move over to the ceramic muffin tray. First, I'll place an unbleached liner into each well, making sure they're sitting flat and supported. Then we'll fill each cup up in the same way as before, keeping them at least 3/4 full so that they bake evenly. I'm curious, which pan do you reach for at home? Do you use ceramic with liners or silicone molds? Then we'll bake the cupcakes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 27 minutes until the tops are set and slightly spring back when touched. Once they're finished baking, turn off the oven and leave the door slightly cracked for about 3 minutes so that they can adjust gradually and avoid a sudden drop. After that, remove the pans and let the cupcakes rest for another 3 minutes before carefully transferring them to a baking sheet. Head over to carnivore-collections.com for the full recipe card and the nutritional breakdown. We'll then slide the baking sheet back into the turned-off oven for an additional 3 minutes to help them gently firm up the bottoms while using the residual heat. This extra step keeps the bases a bit more structured without drying out the tops. Once that step is complete, transfer the cupcakes to a cooling rack and allow them to cool completely before adding the frosting. This helps the interior set properly and prevents the buttercream from melting. Give them a little patience here, as frosting warm cupcakes can undo the careful work we've just done. Now let's move on to the buttercream frosting. We'll begin by blooming the gelatin, sprinkling it over 2 tablespoons of cold water, and letting it sit for about 3 to 5 minutes. Once it has absorbed the water, gently warm it until just fully dissolved. You can do this in a small saucepan over low heat or place it briefly in a toaster oven. We just want it melted and fluid, not hot. Now let's start the buttercream. In a mixing bowl, beat the softened butter for about 3 minutes until it becomes pale and fluffy. You'll notice it lighten in both color and texture as air gets incorporated, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Next, add in the egg yolks and continue beating until everything is fully incorporated. Take a moment here to scrape down the sides of the bowl so that the mixture stays even and silky. Now sprinkle in the collagen powder and salt and mix until well combined. This helps give the frosting a bit of structure while keeping it soft and creamy. With the mixer running on medium speed, slowly drizzle in the cold, heavy cream. Continue whipping until the mixture becomes light and airy. You'll start to see it transform into a softer, more spreadable texture as it incorporates. If you're using honey and vanilla, add them now and mix until fully blended in. This is where you can gently adjust the sweetness for your preference. Finally, with the mixer on low speed, slowly drizzle in the melted gelatin. Once it's incorporated, increase the speed to medium-high and whip for another 1 to 2 minutes until the frosting is smooth, stable, and ready to pipe. You'll know it's ready when it holds its shape but still looks soft. If the frosting feels too soft, chill it for 10 minutes and then re-whip. If it's too firm, add an additional 1 teaspoon of heavy cream and then re-whip. And now we're ready to frost the fully cooled cupcakes. If you take a look, you can see that the ones baked in the ceramic pan with the liners have held their structure nicely. There's a slight dip in the center, which is completely fine as it will be covered up beautifully by the buttercream. In comparison, the cupcakes baked in the silicone mold have dropped a bit more at the base. So between the two results, my preference is the ceramic pan with the liners for a more consistent final outcome. I'll be using a disposable piping bag fitted with a Wilton 1M open star tip to pipe the buttercream frosting. This tip gives that classic bakery swirl with beautiful defined ridges. It's easy to control and creates a clean, professional finish without much effort. Now we'll carefully transfer the buttercream into the piping bag. I like to fold down the top of the bag over the glass to make this step a little cleaner and easier. Once it's filled, gently press the frosting down towards the tip so it's ready to pipe smoothly. Now we'll go ahead and frost the cupcakes. I'm starting right in the center and applying steady, even pressure as I slowly spiral outward towards the edges. Because this tip is slightly narrower, I'm keeping the swirl more flat and allowing it to spread across the top rather than building height. I actually love this look. It feels classic and generous without being overdone. Just keep your pressure consistent and let the ridges form naturally as you move outward. When you reach the edge, gently stop squeezing and lift away for a clean finish. And here we have our finished carnivore cupcakes. I still remember the first time I made something like this and thought, there's no way it's going to feel like a real cupcake. But when I finally cut into it and saw the soft texture, I realized carnivore baking doesn't have to feel limiting. It just asks us to approach things a little differently. These are soft, lightly springy, and topped with a beautiful buttercream swirl. Simple ingredients, thoughtful technique, and a dessert that feels special without stepping out of the framework we're working within. As I cut through the cupcake, you can see how easily the knife glides through. The interior looks soft and tender with a delicate, even texture. When I gently squeeze the base, you can see just how springy and light it is. It's structured enough to hold its shape, but still incredibly soft to the touch. Thank you so much for baking along with me today. If you try these cupcakes, I'd truly love to hear how they turn out for you. And if there's another carnivore dessert that you'd like to see next, leave it in the comments below. I'll see you in the next video.